Okay, I'm finally getting around to making my Elsa inspired cosplay gown. And one of these days I will actually be able to film one of these, I think, in like the actual chronology of how the outfit goes together rather than it being sort of pieced together, but we're gonna roll with it. But I'm hoping it makes sense, but I wanted to give you a sort of breakdown of exactly how I'm putting this thing together, and I'm really hoping it turns out the way I see it in my head. It rarely does. Sometimes it comes out better, sometimes it doesn't come out at all, so we're just going to see what happens. So if you've been following me for any amount of time, you already know that I've been talking about doing an Elsa-inspired spicy gown for a very long time. And I've talked about it and done some behind-the-scenes stuff like on my Discord server, on Patreon, on my Substack, and I'm finally getting around to creating it because I thought it'd be a really cool thing to sort of bring into the winter vibe and not just like the typical sort of Christmassy outfit, but I wanted to do something that was like wintry and really fun. So this one I thought would be perfect. I've had the fabric for a little while and I was a little disappointed with some of the fabric, and I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll through all the ups and downs that this dress has already given me, which usually means it's gonna be a pretty cool design once it's done. When it's done. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so quick little background on how I sort of started to design this particular dress a long time ago. Long time ago. In a land far away, which is actually it's not really that far away, it's like right here. So a long time ago, I finally had come down with the COVID bug, and it was not a fun time. I didn't get nearly as sick as many of the other people out there tend to get sick. I definitely came down hard with it though in terms of like my energy level, and I was just exhausted all the time. And it was a really weird feeling to have like my body be super exhausted, but my brain was constantly going. Like my body and my brain couldn't quite match up in terms of like energy level. So I just needed something to sort of keep me busy, and so I decided to build Stable Diffusion on my gaming PC. And I love this gaming PC. It's got like a heck of a graphics card and everything. This was one that I had custom built for me because I suck at building that kind of stuff myself. But it's awesome. So I built Stable Diffusion on my gaming PC, and I started playing around with some different models and things like that, and I found some really fun ones that were Elsa. So I started thinking, okay, I can use this to maybe come up with some different ideas for outfits, for gowns. And I was already sort of playing around with like fantasy inspired stuff like this, and witchy stuff like this, and like fairy stuff. So I was like, oh, I wonder what else I could do with this to come up with potential design concepts, because I really suck at trying to sketch out a design, like an outfit design and stuff. And there's so many awesome designers out there that you just watch and they're like just sketching out these gorgeous gowns on a piece of paper, and I'm just like, how does this even work? So I struggle a lot with the concept initially. Once I get the ball rolling, I usually take it and run with it and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and I come up with ideas like as I'm actually putting something together. So yeah, that's where most of my ideas tend to come from. It comes from, I see what looks to be like an AI generated image of some kind, and I'm like, I can bring that to life. I think I can do this. So ta-da! These are some of the initial design concepts that I came up with using Stable Diffusion to create sort of an initial gown idea or outfit idea for a little bit more of a spicy kind of Elsa. And I really wanted it to be fun and playful and give the flair of the Ice Queen herself, but not something that is like verbatim like an actual cosplay, which is most of my stuff. I really like taking it and putting my own spin on it, right? Now, also, a lot of the fabrics that I knew I was gonna need for this tend to be a little bit on the expensive side. So I wanted to keep this somewhere within a budget because it could definitely go like off the rocker really fast. So now that I've had the opportunity to design and create some other gowns and things like that, I sort of had an idea in my head of what I wanted to do with this. So here in just a second, you're gonna see some of the breakdown of what I've already done, which is what you see here. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and give you sort of the rundown of what I have so far put together, and then what I'm gonna be doing next. So for the corset top, this is actually a super cheap $16 corset that I got on AliExpress. They are not the best. They are definitely like there's a reason why they're $16. Like, they're really not great. I much prefer to go through a company called Perfect Corset out of New York. And a lot of people tend to think, like, when they first see some of their ads, I feel like their marketing could be like so much better. But a lot of people think that, oh, this is probably just a knockoff or something, or it's, you know, like another AliExpress kind of a thing. And I've ordered from them several times. They are not the cheapest out there. They're also not the most expensive, which is nice. But most of their corsets, when you catch them on sale, are around $40 to $60, depending on which one you get. But they are absolutely the best quality corsets I've ever had. And you can mix and match the cup sizes with the actual corset itself. And the reason why I particularly like that is because my shape is a little bit different. It's not a standard shape, so I typically have to go with like an E cup, which is I think a triple D. So it's an E cup with a size small corset. And so when I'm going in and I'm shopping looking like for small and medium stuff, usually the medium fits me for the top half, but not for the waist, and it's like really, really flared in the waist, or I get a size small and it's too small up top. So I have to sort of mix and match and create my own thing most of the time. And that's what I really like about Perfect Corset, is they do that for you. And it's really, really, really good stuff. Like, the fabric is really nice. It fits really comfortably. There's not, you know, weird seams or anything like that. Like, it is really honestly worth the money. And that's how I made my Parabelle ball gown, was using one of their corsets, because this one here is not that. There's a lot of extra shit that has to go into this. So for example, this is like the $16 corset. It actually doesn't have any cups in it at all. It comes just completely plain. And this is a size small. So I tried it on. It definitely fits great here. It does not fit up top for me at all. Now for this to make it something that I can actually wear, because I also need a structure behind the mesh piece itself. I don't want to worry about, you know, falling out of the top, but I also need something that's going to allow a little bit of structure to adhere all of my silver filigree, my snowflakes, my diamonds and gemstones and stuff, which would absolutely either fall off the mesh entirely or it would break the mesh, because they are, like, I'm going to be gluing them on for some of the pieces, and then I also need to sew them on. But this is like super flimsy. Like, there's nothing here, and it would absolutely just end up falling over. So what I'm going to end up doing today is putting in some hard shell cups, or I guess, well, soft shell. They are cups. We are going to call them cups. I'm going to end up sewing these in there. I went on to a store on Etsy. I think it's called Love Stitch. I want to say it's Love Stitch. I'm going to link everything down below so you know you can go find all this stuff. But she was recommended by several other creators out there that do a lot of gowns and design work, and basically everything that she sells is meant to help you be able to build bodices, lingerie, and things like that. So things like mesh, boning material, hook and eye closures, cups, the twill for corsets and things like that. Like, really, it's for corsetry. Or undergarment type corsetry that you would put like in a gown or in a dress to create structure for it and to create that boning effect. So I bought some cups because they came in my size. I was so happy. They are so hard to find. And I'm going to sew them directly into this mesh corset. So I don't have to make the mesh corset because I am not that good yet. That's another project for another day, and I have everything to do that. We'll get there eventually, but for now, to make it easier on myself, I'm going to use this as a base and just alter the cup so that everything flows and is secure. Now again, because the cup itself doesn't completely cover it, this is okay because I'm going to end up covering this all up anyways with the silver filigree, and now I have the structure that it's going to hold up and it's not going to flop or anything like that. And here you see the elusive pumpkin in the background. Anyway, so for the very start of any of my projects, I basically just pin all of my fabric to my mannequin and just see what the combinations look like and get a rough idea of it. This is that gorgeous turquoise sequency type fabric that's actually a knit fabric that broke my sewing machine. And the beautiful snowflakes that do not look nearly as good on camera as they do in person, and I did not buy nearly enough fabric for it. For the cups, I did go ahead and stitch them just on the underside, so basically like where an underwire would go. I stitched those by hand and it came out pretty good. For both the top and the bottom portions of the skirt, I did the giant triangle method. It is 7 inches at the top of the triangle, and I basically just go down at a diagonal until I've used up all of the pieces itself. Progress update, and my window's open because I'm using this E6000 glue and I hate the smell of it. And yeah, so my window's open and unfortunately you can hear my pool pump going, but I thought I would give you a quick little update on this. So I have my leaves, those are done on the side. I still have another one to do on each side, but that takes time because I have to wait for this to dry, and then I can flip it and then hold it in place and then start on the rest of it basically. I got these glued down. I added a couple of little gemstones here and here. I'm using, again, my dog's leashes to secure these ones that have a curve to it in place. I got these ones done, and I think what I'm going to do is use more of these marquee gemstones here for the boning pieces. Like, instead of trying to hide the boning channels, I'm actually going to make them even more pronounced. So my idea is I'm going to use these ones, the larger ones, up to about this point, I think, and then move to a slightly smaller shape. I don't get it. Gosh, these things are so teeny tiny. There's like, I think, 4 different sizes that I have total. So basically from here and then go down to a smaller shape here, continue down, and then use these little teeny tiny ones to slowly go smaller. That, and then here I'm actually going to offset it so I don't actually start doing this shape until further up. That way the larger one is more pointed, so it creates this V effect, which is kind of what most of my stuff is like larger here, but with like a deep V, and it helps to accentuate the small of the waist. So that's what I'm going to do with the gemstones. I still am a little bit hesitant on what I'm going to do for this side, like the these portions here, the panels, because if I do something that is too heavy, that risks falling off because it's just mesh. And so I'm not sure. I may end up using some sequins to glue down instead of the rhinestones, because sequins is lighter, so it has a better chance of holding up, and it'll cover a larger surface area without me having to sit there and, you know, put a whole lot of little teeny tiny gemstones on this portion. So for this section up here, I think I'm going to add, this is just my idea so far, I think I'm going to add a couple of extra filigrees here, and then do the same sort of thing. Instead of trying to hide the lines, make them more accentuated using the rhinestone. So see how this goes. So I'm on the final stages of this, and this is the most time-consuming and tedious part of this entire project. It has been days of hand adding each and every one of these gemstones. So I'm using my E6000 glue to put just a coat on the bodice itself, and then I sit here and add each and every gemstone, and I try to go for just sort of different colors and things like that, but I'm still making it somewhat, there's a little bit of an ombre to it. So like at the very top here, I've just put only clear like rhinestones, and then once you get to this portion here, it goes into white pearls, gray pearls, some turquoise gemstones and things like that of different and varying sizes. And then at the bottom here, it moves into blue pearls and silver gemstones. So it's organized chaos is what I'm gonna call it. And we're just gonna keep on going and see how far I can get today. With 3 days of bedazzling under my belt, it was time for the final stage, which was the cape, and here is how I did it. So I took my hot glue filigree, I sewed them onto the cape itself, onto some fabric, used a toggle closure to make it nice and easy to take on and off, found some really pretty snowflake charms, and I just did a little bit of a hand stitch on the shoulder portions, and this just sort of helps keep it up and out of the way. At some point I may take some of this fabric, which is an actual like Elsa fabric that I found on Etsy as well, and I may attach it to the top there just to give a little bit more structure to the arms. But overall, the final product was so gorgeous. With 30 hours of work done, it was time to actually try the dress on for the first time. All I can say is I am in love with this project. I can't wait to take it up to the mountains and to the snow here very soon to get some much better pictures, but here are some initial shots. And yeah, it's elegant. It makes me feel like the queen herself, and I can't wait to keep on making more of these gowns. Thank you all so much for your support, because without you, I wouldn't be able to continue making and crafting these amazing pieces of wearable art. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.